Mr. Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, and Carleton graduates, it is my great pleasure to present Ms. Maude Barlow for an honorary doctorate of laws. But first, let me begin at the beginning, or as close as is reasonable to begin at the beginning. The personal is political. This 1969 mantra of second-wave feminism, penned by Carol Hanisch, is perhaps no better exemplified than by Maude Barlow, a woman, a person whose own troubles were reflective of deeper social issues. They were the issues of her time, of our time. The comments accompanying her photograph in her graduating Glebe Collegiate yearbook are instructive, and I quote, "For Maudie McGrath, it's drama at York." Well, drama Maude certainly got. As a young housewife with children, she began reading the emerging modern thinkers on feminism and women's rights. Their ideas touched a deep chord in her, and the rest is history. Maude entered a new world of social and political engagement. Determined to change the systemic inequalities and structures that relegated women to second-class citizenship, Maude became active in the women's rights movement in Canada during the 1970s. She worked tirelessly to promote equal opportunity for women, pay equity, and the introduction of women into non-traditional occupations. She turned her great organizing skills into campaigns to combat violence towards women and led a successful human rights challenge on behalf of women prisoners in the Kingston Prison of Women, for women. By 1983, scarcely 9 years since graduating Carleton, 9 years for me is a relatively short time, she had become senior advisor on women's issues to then Prime Minister Trudeau. But Maude's personal and political transformation continued. She realized, I think, that those issues that affected women reflected greater problems of Canadian society. Her love of Canada and her desire to see social justice compelled her to become, in 1985, a founding member of the Council of Canadians, now Canada's largest public advocacy organization and a significant public policy think tank. Under her leadership, the Council has since advocated on social programs, pensions, healthcare, the environment, and with other organizations, led a successful fight to defeat the multilateral agreement on investment. During the 1990s, she led the Council in a fight against Conrad Black's attempts to take over Canada's major newspapers. Well, we all know the final outcome for Mr. Black. More recently, Maude Barlow has been a leading advocate on environmental issues and has positioned the Council internationally as well as nationally. In 2008-09, she served as senior advisor on water to the President of the United Nations. Today, in addition to being national chair of the Council of Canadians, she chairs the Washington-based Food and Water Watch. Over the years, she has been the recipient of numerous national and international awards and citations related to her achievements on behalf of women, the environment, and of social justice. She has authored or co-authored 16 books, and she is the subject of a wonderful National Film Board of Canada documentary, Democracy à la Maude. What do we learn from Maude Barlow? That to question received ideas is an imperative, that our personal troubles are frequently collectively shared and embedded in wider social issues, and that together we can overcome social injustice and strive for and create a far better world. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of her passionate commitment and tireless efforts to promote social justice, I request that you confer the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, upon Maude Barlow.
By virtue of my authority, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Mr. Chancellor, Madam President, members of the graduation class, ladies and gentlemen, just an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you, Hugh, for those absolutely beautiful words. I once read, not that I compare myself, but Winston Churchill, after a very moving introduction, said he could hardly wait to hear what he had to say. I always think nice words should come after. I'm thrilled to be here this morning, and particularly to this graduating class, because I really do acknowledge and honor the environmental integrity and the vision of the engineering department here at Carleton University. And I just want to say that it's a double honor to be speaking to this particular group, and also an honor to be here on the stage and to receive this from Chancellor Gray, who himself has done incredible work on the International Joint Commission on behalf of all North Americans to protect the joint waters of North America. So it's a delight to be here. And it's a big honor for me to be here because Carleton is my alma mater. Carleton has surely changed, though, in the intervening decades, and even more since it was a little college down the street. I bet you a lot of you don't know this. Carleton College was a little college at the corner of First Avenue and Lyon, between First and Second, for years and years in the glebe. And they decided that they were going to expand, and they started appropriating the houses along my mom and dad's street, and it stopped just at the house beside ours. And then I think they thought maybe they were going to get a little bigger than First Avenue, and so decided to come out here. But when I was a little girl, I used to sneak in and watch the Sock and Buskin Club, and I know it's still called that here. So there's my drama, Hugh, that you were talking about. But it was my early years, Carleton was very much a part of my life because it was literally down the street. In the few minutes I have to share with you, I want to urge you all, no matter what your education specialty, what vocation you choose, where you live, to give some of your precious time and some of your precious energy and intelligence and your great hearts to the great environmental challenges that face us today. Every generation faces a unique political reality and set of concerns it needs to tackle together, and yours and ours, because it belongs to all of us, is a multiple threat to the earth itself, from our overexploitation, pollution, and this notion of the growth imperative, which is based on the notion that we have unlimited resources, which we do not. From the diminishing life in the oceans and the destruction of old-growth forests to the clear limits of a fossil fuel economy, our Mother Earth is suffering, as are countless millions of people around the world, in many places and ways, refugees of climate change, refugees of the water crisis. Water is the issue I know best. Freshwater supplies are being destroyed due to the perfect storm of pollution, climate change, and overmining of groundwater, and watershed destruction where humans move massive amounts of water from lakes, rivers, and aquifers to feed the thirst of big cities, industry, and farms. When we're done with it, we tend to think of it as waste and we dump it into the ocean. We don't return it clean to the land. I'm working with scientists who estimate that we probably send about 700 trillion liters of land-based water as waste into the ocean every year. As a result, many parts of the world are literally running out of available fresh water. When you read the term drought, it's often incorrect. Something we were taught, of course, as children that could never happen. And almost 3 billion people in our world do not have access to clean water within a kilometer of their home. Every 8 seconds somewhere in our world, a child is dying from waterborne disease. Even here in Canada, we have taken our water for granted and are among the worst water wasters in the world. Mining sites are destroying legally many freshwater lakes in Canada under an amendment to the Fisheries Act that allows them to be renamed tailing impoundment areas, something that we have launched a court challenge in my organization against. And every day in the tar sands of northern Alberta, close to 5 million barrels of water are poisoned and left to sit in massive toxic dams. Canadians consume almost 3 billion plastic bottles of commercial water every year, and since we only recycle about 35% of these bottles, we discard mountains of plastic garbage in our lakes, rivers, forests, and landfills, where they will take at least 500 to 1,000 years to break down. Our Great Lakes are in crisis. We don't protect our groundwater. We haven't mapped it properly. Our National Water Act is 40 years old and in desperate need of updating. And sadly, Canada does not support the right to water at the United Nations. We who are blessed to live in a world which is both water wealthy and wealthy in terms of the economy have a special responsibility to find solutions to this global crisis, and as well to be good stewards of our own precious water resources by protecting our own watersheds, our wetlands, our aquifers, and ensuring safe, clean drinking water as a public trust and a human right. There is much work to be done. Don't listen to those who say to you there's nothing you can do, that it's a very large problem, and these are very huge environmental and social problems that beset our world. And I'm not talking now about a false sense of optimism based on ignoring the very real crisis that we face. But there is much room for hope. I believe that hope is a moral imperative. And we need to bring joy and excitement to our commitment to a different future. I swear to you that this is true. The life of an activist is a good life because you get up in the morning caring more about just yourself or how to make money. And there's nothing wrong with making a good living for yourself and your family, but you need to be about something more. A life of activism gives hope and energy and direction. You meet the best people, you help transform systems and ideas, and you commit to leaving the earth in at least as whole a shape as you inherited it, which our First Nations people know very well. And because every generation has the right to breathe clean air and drink sweet, clean water. And you may very well find yourself inside an important fight for humanity. 2 weeks ago, I was part of a delegation to the United Nations where we presented a new idea to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. Because our civil society movements believe there are no human rights if there are not protections for the earth, air, water, forests, wetlands, and other species, we presented to him a draft document called the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Mother Earth, which we are hoping will become the companion piece to the 1948 document that was called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And just as the Declaration of Human Rights outlined the various rights that humans have, so does our document outline the various rights that the earth has. This concept was met with great enthusiasm from the Secretary General and many country delegates, and I believe with my heart that it's only a matter of time before it becomes a cornerstone of public policy, both at the United Nations and in every country and community in the world. I see our species, the human species, as one that is developing, is advancing, hopefully. Sometimes we take a step back. And sometimes there's a milestone that tells us this has been an advancement. And if we were able to conceive of the rights of the earth and stop thinking that all of these resources exist just for our benefit and convenience, but rather they're living ecosystems, we would have evolved in a very profound way. As Cormac Cullinan, who's a leading advocate for the rights of Mother Earth, explains, the day will come when the failure of our laws to recognize the right of a river to flow, to prohibit acts that destabilize the Earth's climate, or to impose a duty to respect the intrinsic value and right to exist of all life will be as reprehensible as allowing people to be bought and sold. We will only flourish by changing these systems and claiming our identity, as well as assuming our responsibilities as members of the Earth community. I wish you the very best on this very special day, and I would leave you with the wonderful words of the late, great environmental scientist Carl Sagan, who said, anything else you are interested in is not going to happen if you cannot breathe the air and drink the water. Don't sit this one out. Do something. You are, by accident of fate, alive at an absolutely critical moment in the history of our planet. Thank you, graduates. I wish you the best, and I thank Carleton for this honor.